Well, the FBI has stated that three of the main trafficking venues in the United States are San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. So the scope of the problem is pretty large in California. There's no question about that. And we represent 10% of the entire population of the country. So we're going to have at least 10% of all of the trafficking issues that occur in the country. What Proposition 35 does is it really refocuses attention away from the foreign labor market into the domestic sex trafficking market. The United States has been considered a demand country for trafficking of all types. But what we have found out in recent years is that we are in large part supplying our own demand, particularly when it comes to sex trafficking, and particularly when it comes to the sex trafficking of minors. What we know are that great numbers of children in the United States are in a runaway situation, between 1.6 and 2.8 million on a given day in the United States, and that these children become very susceptible to the wily ways of sex traffickers, otherwise known as pimps. These people get their clutches into these kids through a variety of manipulations, but the kids then find themselves under the total control of these individuals and out on the street selling their bodies maybe 10, 15, 20 times a day, however many times it takes to come up with whatever the amount of money is that they are required to earn in a given day. And they really are, in a very real sense, slaves to these individuals. All of the money that these kids are making is turned over to the pimp. A lot of these characters are building up some pretty decent bank accounts. And what Prop 35 does is attach their personal finances with fines of up to $1 million that then get diverted into a variety of different things. Number one, it gets diverted into social services for the victims. You see some girl on a street corner day in and day out and day in and day out wearing a skimpy dress, maybe strung out on drugs and selling her body. It's hard to think of that individual as a victim. And in fact, we really never have. So the police would arrest them, they would prosecute them, they would cycle them through the juvenile system until they then, I guess, found themselves in the adult system. What Prop 35 does is it looks at these kids as being victims rather than perpetrators of crime, and redefines the perpetrators as the Johns themselves. Human trafficking is now considered the second most profitable international criminal activity there is, after, I think, gun running. It's even more profitable than drug running. So a lot of the gangs and a lot of the individuals who had previously been involved in selling drugs are now involved in prostitution because it's so low risk and there is so much profit to be made. So yes, the money is definitely there. It's just a matter of acknowledging the problem and going after the money and the perpetrators. In California, prostitution is flat out against the law. It is a criminal activity. So if the people that are involved in prostitution are whining that their wages are going to be somehow attached and that people that are associated with them are somehow going to be victimized, that's not my problem, that's not your problem, that's not even society's problem. That's their problem for engaging in a criminal activity and turning it into their life's work. They can't blame us for any stigma that's attached to family members of them based upon the life choices that they have made. That's absolutely preposterous.